Hello students, this is Mr. Brooks. Today I'd like to talk to you some more about traffic control devices and laws and take you through this PowerPoint that explains this in some detail. What we'd like you to get on this particular PowerPoint is what is the purpose of traffic control devices, what are some signs, what are the signals, what are the pavement markings, and what are some specific laws that deal with these communication devices. Now, just to review, remember that traffic control devices help us to ensure safety on the road. They tell drivers where they are, where they're going, and how to get there. And it provides information to the drivers on the laws and dangers of the roadway. It's important to understand and be able to speak fluently the language of the road signs. Now, road signs communicate in 3 or 4 different modes. They communicate by color, shape, symbol, and words. This slide here talks about the color of the signs communicating a specific thing. Anytime you see red, that means that it's stop or prohibited. You cannot do this action. Blue is a service, motorist service sign. Green is for guide information. Use the G and G in guide to help you remember that. Yellow is a warning sign. And even though we say yellow, we actually mean yellow and black, right? And orange is construction or work. And we've all seen plenty of those in this. Some more colors. Black, which we're talking mainly about the background color. Is a regulatory sign. White is a regulatory sign when it's in that rectangle. We'll talk about that in a minute. Brown, recreational and cultural interest. Fluorescent yellow, bright yellow, is school crossings, pedestrian crossings, and so forth. And fluorescent pink is an incident sign. We'll talk more about that in detail. Then the next mode that signs used to communicate is the shape of the sign. There's only one sign that's 8-sided, and that's the stop sign. And you should know from before that that's red. The triangle is for a yield sign, and notice the point is down on the yield sign. A diamond is a warning sign, so this would be right turn ahead or something like that. The pentagon or the 5-sided sign is for school, and I tell kids to remember this is like a little schoolhouse. The pennant, like a flag or a sport pennant, is for no passing or advance warning of a passing zone. Horizontal rectangle, it means it's longer than it is tall or wider than it is tall, is for directions. A vertical rectangle, which is taller than it is wide, indicates a law, and we'll see some of the details of those. A railroad crossing is always round, okay? R for round and R for railroad. And the railroad is also, you can see it sometimes in this crossbuck X railroad crossing. Now, regulatory signs are used to regulate the speed and movement of traffic. They're typically rectangle in shape, red, white, white and black, or red and black, and different colors. But the main thing to help you remember here is R for regulatory, R for rectangular, and R for regulating speed and movement of traffic. Here's some examples of regulatory signs. No left turn, no right turn, and you can see the signs are rectangular. No U-turn. Because it's a school, this one's in yellow, so you can see how the color as well as the word and shape is enough to give you the information. There's our stop sign, regulatory. 4-way stop, this would typically be mounted below that to tell you it's a 4-way stop, so it would typically be right there. And the yield sign with the arrow pointing down. Additional regulatory signs. And how do you know that they're regulatory? Because they're rectangular, right? Every one of these is rectangular, and it's either wider than it is tall, taller than it is wide, and black and white, red, black, red and white, and so on. The color is what's going to tell you what you need to know here. Okay, warning signs. Warning of danger, possible danger ahead. Mostly diamond-shaped, yellow and black color. Some are fluorescent optic yellow, and we'll get to that in a minute. Here's some examples of warning signs. Notice they're all diamond-shaped, and they all have either the yellow or the bright yellow warning of what's going on. You need to know what each one of these means. Now, these are trying to draw you what the road is going to do. So this is a side road to the right, and you'd also see one to the left. Sharp right turn, sharp left turn. A divided highway begins, and this is divided highway ends, depending on where you are. The right lane ends, double turns, and you'll learn these the more and more that you drive them. Additional warning signs: merging traffic or just merge. We don't see this one much in Utah. Side road, additional lane. Now, school crossing and school, notice that these are part of the warning sign class. Notice the difference between this sign and this sign. This one has the crosswalk drawn in, so this is a school crossing, and this is just a school zone. Same way down here, pedestrian crossing here, pedestrian zone or pedestrian crossing coming up. And it's the difference is the crossing lines. Slippery when wet, narrow bridge, bicycle crossing. These are ones that you're probably familiar with. Some additional warning signs. Nothing here I need to point out. Yield sign ahead, low clearance, that's telling you how high. Stop sign ahead. Notice the stop sign is still always red. Now here's our pennant, like a flag, and it says no passing zone or passing allowed or something. And here's warning signs that tell you what the speed limit will be on a particular segment of road. This isn't the speed limit for the road, but a segment of the road. So if you think you're driving on the freeway and the speed limit is 65 on the freeway, this is telling you that the exit speed is 25 when you get to the ramp. That's why they're warning signs. Ramp is coming, the exit speed drops. This is the speed that they're telling you to look for the curve ahead. You only go 35 miles an hour, and here strictly is curve ahead. Okay, next is railroad crossing signs. What these signs are communicating to you is to slow down, look, and listen for a train. Now, this is one of the few that has listen, because oftentimes railroad crossings will have bells or whistles, or some states they'll have a siren type of thing to tell you a train is coming. It's always round. This is a railroad crossing that tells you have to stop before you get to it. Here's a railroad crossing with warning lights that tell you to stop, because remember the color red is stop or prohibited. And here's a railroad crossing gate, which would have sounds as well. Okay, construction zone signs. We're very familiar with this in Utah. This is telling the users what's going to happen ahead of them in construction zones. They're rectangle or diamond shape, and they're always orange in color. There's some examples. Flaggers, workers ahead. Here's our diamond, orange. Detour, okay? This would be accompany a light that's telling you to slow down. And remember, in a construction zone, your speed limits drop, and failure to comply will get you a heavier ticket. Okay, Morse construction zone signs. Seen these barrels around. Moving lanes over, safety cones, a flag person, a barricade, and a road closed. Now, notice the direction on the road closed barricades. In Utah, that means that you have to move to the right. So it's from the top to the bottom, whichever way those are going is the direction that they're going to want you to move with this road closed. If the lines were going the other way, then it would tell you you'd need to be moving to the left. And that is on the test, so you want to pay attention to that. Guide signs, remember, for the most part, and we've talked about those kinds on that first slide. Examples, mile markers, recreational things, areas where to go, so forth. There's our guide signs with services, hospital ahead on this exit, food, gas, interstate freeway. If it's a state route or a United States route, now remember, if it's a Utah route, there'll be a little beehive here for Deseret. Phone, services that you can get, and these signs tell you where they are. Now, incident signs, the thing to remember here is that incident signs are temporary signs, and they're there for a wreck, road user incident, water on the road, something like that, a spill, other unplanned incident, and they're this pink color. And here's some examples. Be prepared to stop, lane ends. Now this is temporary, remember. Emergency scene ahead, accident. You know, these are things that are one-time incidents. And that's a specific color for those. Okay, and what we'd like to do as students is I'm going to stop there for the signs before we go to the signals and let you go back and review that if you would like.